In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. That over there is Cash Kraus. How you doing, Cash?
Very good. You know, it might be long for a podcast intro.
It is super
But it'd be
long.
perfect for like if we had like a 30-minute show or whatever.
Yeah.
And we would, because it's perfect time for like a sitcom.
It is.
Intro.
It definitely is. Yeah.
But a little long for a podcast intro, I would have to agree.
I have been on that train. I'm like, we might have to cut that bad boy down because the Indian listeners are probably like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Because we never play that intro when we do an Indian film or a foreign film.
Yeah, so maybe you want to explain that.
Yeah, so that is actually our intro for our podcast. You guys can check out Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher, anywhere you guys get podcasts. And let us know in the comment section, do you guys listen to podcasts much? Is it as big over in India as it is in the United States? Because that's actually how we got started, was initially just doing film reviews on our podcast, and then we transferred over to YouTube as well, started doing reactions, started to do some other videos and content, kind of grew our brand,
how it
our
happened,
name,
yeah.
and
But this is special because this is normally we only do one foreign film a week.
yes.
So that's again another reason why people might be confused, is because we are doing something special this week. We picked two films from India from our poll. Mm-hmm. And decided to give them a review because we're having such a great time reviewing, and have had an amazing run of films.
Well, and I guess we kind of screwed up in a way too, because we had a lot of people comment saying that never, ever, ever put a commercial film in.
Then why the hell did you vote for it? That's my rebuttal to that is, why'd you vote for it? Because Dongle killed in the poll.
It did.
And if you really wanted something else, you should have hit the streets, got people to vote. You know what you
Bring in your friends, tell your friends, go to our YouTube channel.
Start a grassroots movement. That's how things get done.
Yeah. Get your mom, get your dad, get your brother and sister, and anyone else, and have them vote in the poll.
Anyone, your mailman, your butcher, anyone you can talk to. But this is very exciting.
It is exciting stuff.
Well, first, should we discuss what we're doing this week for our poll?
For our poll, okay, so since we actually took two movies out of our poll this week because we're doing Jallikattu today, we should announce.
There you go.
As our streamer of the week. And Dangle for tomorrow for our foreign film Friday. So we have to replace those two.
Yes.
Based on our trailer reaction response and how many comments we got for saying, put this movie in the poll, we have decided to go with two.
Yes.
One of them is Three Idiots.
And the other one? Ugly. Another
on your rug.
On the rug. We have to respect the man by constantly having at least one on Rug Shop film in the poll.
Because we're already fanboys.
Yes. So now we have Deli Belly.
Yep.
Super Deluxe. Ugly.
And Three Idiots.
Yep. So that will be our poll for this week. Make sure you vote. Make sure you
vote.
tell other people to vote. Because that's how your pick's going to get one.
Exactly. And tell everyone you know. Tell your friends to vote, you know.
Yeah.
That's how this thing works.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get into it.
Let's jump into Jallikattu.
So extremely excited to talk about this film.
Yes, I knew you would be. As soon as I finished this movie, I was like,
yep.
Me and Cash cannot wait to talk about this. I could already feel the tension in the air.
Yes.
And the excitement. Here we are today.
My mind was blown. It was one of those where I had to take some time after and just kind of digest everything, what I saw. But man,
it's a lot.
I couldn't believe it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
So did
man.
I.
It was so experimental, and someone in the comments did say Jallikattu was one of a kind, and I would agree absolutely.
As would I too.
I was trying to compare it to some things, and I don't know. I would compare it to like maybe Jaws, but then it has a whole nother aspect that Jaws doesn't have.
It does.
And then it may be a combination of like Moby Dick and some other movies where the two characters destroy everything in their lives just out of spite. I mean, because it's one of those, but man, I was...
You know what I felt too? I felt this whole time I'm watching this film, I felt absolute stress and chaos. The same way I felt when I watched Uncut Gems was the same thing I got from Jallikattu, because it was just like, it was just chaotic. Everyone's screaming, everyone's moving around.
I agree, yeah.
And it's good. When you can get an emotion out of someone like that, watching a film, that's the best thing that you want for your audience.
Well, it's titled as an independent action film, but this film to me is a straight up horror film. In every sense, this film is a horror film to me. It's scared from the score, the a cappella score that was fucking...
we have to... That might have been one of the greatest scores.
Yeah, and to the descent into madness that these characters go into, and the very end to the climax, this movie is a horror film. I think I'll probably add it to an October list, something. It should be shown at like horror film festivals, like midnight showings. They should show this film. Yeah. Because like you said, it almost has, it's not really a slow burn, but it almost has that witch feel to it.
Yes.
Just that feeling of constant dread. Like, oh my God, this is just horrifying.
Well, and what's so crazy about this too is the premise is so simple.
Oh yeah.
That like if I were to try to explain this movie to someone, they'd be like, "That doesn't sound like a good movie."
Well, I'll just tell you premise. A bull gets loose in a town and just runs chaos, but that is just surface level. There's so much, and it represents so much more than
exactly. There are so many deep meanings, deep ties to this film.
Oh yeah.
Where at first you can get it's so primal and instinctive. Like at first, everyone's working towards a common goal, but then towards the end of the film, everyone wants their own piece.
Well, then
everyone wants the piece. Everyone wants the pride of being able to kill the bull to be able to get their slice.
That's it. That's the overarching theme. The bull is not the bad guy. It's toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Literally every guy trying to one up each other. I mean, so much goes into that, but it's just masculinity where all these guys, and it literally tears this city or this village completely apart with all these guys trying to get the kill. It destroys, and it's such a good movie that represents just absolutely the worst of masculinity.
Right.
I mean, just to where people aren't thinking. They're just trying to become the biggest man. And it deals with that with like, you see there's some like unemployment in the village and stuff like that. So it all deals with that, but there's a ton of really good subplots in this film as well, with the cop and like the love triangle and the guy with the dying dad.
Well, and then the guy just trying to get some compensation for a store being wiped out.
Hilarious. There's some very funny parts too.
Yes, there are.
But then also the two main guys, their budding feud that eventually goes into murder.
Murder, yeah, full on murder. I mean,
like
we can assume the guy
story.
was dead.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on his last leg of life.
He was stabbed
as they picked him out of the water.
But watching this film, I have so many theories and whatnot of what the bull represents, because it's so much more than just a bull. It's like my theory was it's just like an agent of chaos. It's just like this god reborn into bull form, the god of chaos. Because everywhere it went, it caused absolute destruction and mayhem. And people just lost their minds.
Yeah.
It's something took over these people to where they weren't acting rationally. And they deal with that with talking about how this is animal country. And the animals never left. They just evolved to be humans. But they're the exact same. But yeah, I have so many theories. You could break this down. You could probably do a dissertation or something on this movie and break it down. But it is an hour and a half of nonstop fucking sweat-soaked adrenaline. And
oh my God. And dude, the shooting, but in the editing for this was so good. The opening scene where
I want to talk about that too, yeah. And the clock, the constant use of the clock, very loud and very it's one of those, I can't remember what they're called, but like the thing that just clicks back and forth that they always
metronome.
They always put in crazy people's room for some reason.
I don't know why.
It's like a thing from
Keep
like the
them in
50s
sync.
or something. Yeah, but yeah, you're that use. But right off the bat, you know what kind of film it's kind of. I mean, you don't know the stuff, but you know it's going to be real experimental because it shoots, and like you said, the fast, quick editing of showing you kind of in like 40 seconds what the town is all about.
Yeah. And it doesn't dive deep into characters either, like specific characters. It's just another day in the life of this.
Well, it's a beautiful
village.
non-linear story, which is a great aspect of storytelling is non-linear. I love it. But yeah, there's no real story to it. I mean, it's just them. It's just a snapshot of 2 days of this bull running in absolute.
In some ways, it's almost a slice of life film, but more so like for an entire village. Because no one in this film was the lead. No one in this film was prevalent and like told through their perspective. It wasn't told in any perspective at all.
No,
like, as far as the characters
and there's
are
so
concerned.
many side characters that you think for only an hour and a half film, you think, man, it wouldn't work, but it does. We didn't even mention the side character of the guy just obsessed with getting meat for his daughter's wedding.
Yes.
That
Which
was such
crazy.
that was such a crazy
Side plot.
and everything. Every side plot is fucking just as crazy. And then in the background, you got to remember, oh yeah, there's a wild bull running, which you think would not be that big of a deal, but it's not. It's made a huge deal by
everyone.
the men, by the men in the society. It's for one, someone tell these guys it's usually better to hunt with like one guy.
Of course.
You don't
Then
send
50 or 100.
You're gonna scare the bull away.
Yes.
But again, they only have one gun in the entire, and it's a fucking flintlock. It is a old musket.
Old school.
The guy loses that one, but you don't even know what happens to the gun.
Where'd it go?
Because he shoots once and it's gone. It's busted. You're one and done. But yeah, and just the use of the bull too, and barely showing the bull like Jaws-esque.
Yes.
You know, you only ever see 4 minutes of Jaws. I thought that was really. I would have even maybe done less showing, but the bull looks great.
That's what I was going to say too. The puppet work.
Puppet and the mix of CGI. It uses just barely enough CGI. But yeah, the bull looked amazing.
It really did look good.
It looked really good.
Yes.
When they're wrestling with the bull in the forest and it looks...
And those shots where and it kind of does remind me of Jaws a little bit because you get the perspective of it. But more importantly, it's right off to the side of the bull as it's moving along. And that all looked really good and it looked chaotic.
Oh,
too.
yeah, the bull cam.
It really fit the
like
theme.
They
The bull cam.
Like they strapped the GoPro. I loved it. You're right.
Yep.
The cinematography is amazing. I'll talk about a few scenes about it, but it is really fucking good.
How about the very opening scene? And I'm talking about opening scene as far as the credits with that beautiful backdrop with the mountains and the valley
I was
and
gonna
the
bring it up too,
reddish tint sky. And it's just so slow. There was something so mesmerizing about that.
Absolutely.
I fell in love with it. Like, and I specifically remember leaning over and saying, like, this shot is taking forever, but I'm totally okay with it. Like, it was just beautiful.
Well, you knew it was the calm before the storm. Mm-hmm. It was this perfect, serene picture that you knew couldn't last at all.
Yes.
But, yeah, we get introduced, and it's like this village that thrives on one thing, really, meat. Everyone gets their meat from one guy. And throughout, you're kind of learning about him, and it never goes deep into it, but you want more. But you hear about his family is like
generational,
not generational, but they say they're from. He says he's from the old people or something.
Yeah,
literally cavemen. These really fucking old, but it's just sprinkled in, like just over
barely
here, exactly.
Yep.
But then you hear about.
Well, I believe that was in the shop when they were talking about that specifically.
Yeah. And then you hear about. Not too long ago, a similar thing happened where a guy was thrown into a well and killed
and died. Yeah.
So you
he's
pick,
like, hey, wasn't that the guy's dad?
And it's such great storytelling because you pick up these little tiny things along the way that makes you think, oh, this is a lot more than just a bull running. This is something deeper. Like this family, the Varkay family, I think they talk about it. It almost seems like they're cursed. They've been butchers for so long that every once in a while an animal will break loose and kind of even. It always takes someone, a body for a body. So you got to think that they've been butchers for so long that they're just kind of been cursed for thousands of years just because they've made so much money off the killing of these animals. Yeah. And every once in a while, a bull comes and he gets his.
He gets his revenge.
Gets his, my guy. Oh, man, you wouldn't believe. But, I just thought that was really cool and just a really cool way of telling the story but not really. You know, just sprinkling those in because that's not at all has to do with the main story at all.
Yeah.
It's mainly just these two guys obsessed with one-upping each other after one sells another one out for illegal sandalwood.
Yeah, legal sandalwood.
Damn.
Brutal.
I didn't even know it was that big of a deal.
Neither did I.
Seems like you just get some sandalwood. But do you know what Jallikattu is?
Jallikattu is, it started like in like 50 BC or 100 BC.
400 BC.
400
is
BC.
the earliest they say. Yeah.
But I get they put something on top of the horns, and like the objective for people is they let the bull loose.
Yeah.
And they try to grab the horns and grab whatever is on top of the bull.
That was later on they added the flags on the horns. Before that, it was just letting a bull loose, and you had to ride the hump. You had to ride the bull
Ride
for
the
a little
hump.
bit.
Yep. that's
Eventually,
what it is.
they added in because I guess people got too good at riding the hump. They had to add in like a 4-point line or a 3-pointer.
Right,
or
the
something.
3-pointer.
But it's supposed to be this horrible, horrible tradition, like very hard on the animals because they agitate the bulls before they let them loose.
Oh, of course.
I heard they rub chilies in their eyes. They make them eat this horrible thing that makes them really agitated. And just a bull being around people it's very bad because their defense kicks in and they go crazy. But
Well, yeah, there's been injuries and death associated with this.
from
too.
2008 to 2014, I think it was, 43 men killed and
That's
4 bulls
wild.
killed. What I read online was it's more brutal than the matadors in Spain, which they are fucking brutal in
Yes, they
Spain.
are.
I mean, they stab those, and a lot of time they say they stab the bull too to get agitated, and then they unleash it into a crowd.
So crazy.
So, but that adds another layer to this movie, knowing that and knowing that this movie even stands as kind of an anti, because that again is obviously just a tradition of masculinity.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
to see who's bold enough to
who's got
throw their
the biggest
life
balls.
away,
Yeah.
to literally risk their killing themselves just so they say that they rode the fucking hump for 3 seconds before they got fucking killed. But
And it is. You're definitely right though. This is very it's a culture film too.
oh,
And
absolutely,
it does shed light on what Jallikattu is.
my biggest complaint about this film is the censorship. Was the constant? It became too much, and I know Tamil it must be much more conservative than the regular Bollywood films that we've seen because they bleeped out cussing as well.
This is some Malayalam.
Oh, Malayalam.
Yeah, Malayalam, yeah.
Is it Tamil language or whatever? Because
No, the language is Malayalam.
because
Yeah.
Jallikattu is a. That's the language they speak is
In the film,
Malayalam, but
yes.
it's Tamil is the area, right? Or is it Mollywood?
No, it's Malayalam.
Oh, it must be. I don't know what I read that from, but yeah. Well, anyways, they must be much more conservative. I'm guessing because every single time someone smoked, they popped, and I get having it one time at the beginning,
But every single time.
it's
and there
too
should
much.
just be a disclaimer at the beginning of the film.
And every time someone drank,
Every time someone drank, they had to throw up the warning.
and there's a really funny scene where the bull first breaks out, and they meet the herbal guy. You know, the guy who tramples his forest,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, don't say hateful words." And then the bull tramples his forest.
That's
and
what I
he,
wanted to bring
he cusses, obviously. Very funny. He cusses like for 30 seconds. But it's just blank.
But you can't even hear him.
It's
And
muted out.
I was like, is my TV not working? And then
Yeah.
and then I realized, oh no, like they literally just censored
That would have
it.
been a really funny, like obviously that was
Would have
supposed to
been
be
hilarious.
a lighthearted
Yeah.
because he just told that guy not to cuss and then he
he's
cusses
cussing
for like
for
40
Yeah.
seconds. But it's like, it's so weird. It does. And
It made no
It
sense.
takes away from the film at points as
It
well.
does,
It's-
and not to the fault of the director,
No, absolutely
or
not.
the writers
Yeah.
or anything, because that was their intention, is to show it. But it must be just the culture and society where they don't allow that to take place, which fucking sucks.
It's just much more conservative. You know, they're not, they're not, maybe, I don't know if they're getting to a point where it's getting better or maybe they're getting more conservative. I don't know, but it does take away from the film at times when you got to see this giant label, and especially when people are smoking throughout the film.
Right.
People smoke. We know that.
And we know it's bad for you.
Who are you protecting by I don't know. That was my number one complaint of the
Yeah,
entire
and I understand
film.
that.
I loved everything else about this film, but that was my number one complaint.
Let's talk about because we glanced over it, but it deserves so much more than a glance over. Let's talk about the score for this film.
Yes, the complete.
All a cappella,
It's so creepy. So fucking creepy.
and I love the oohs and the ah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know how
it's,
they would do that before and after a scene, like specific scenes
and
that the human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when the guy's telling the story around the campfire about, and then he looks up and he goes, ooh, ah. And then he works the best when they trap the fucking bull in the well. And then you see, it's because it's three guys that run up and they're saying, it's mine. You know, they're all arguing about it.
Yep.
And then you fucking see a
A
wave.
sea of people.
And then the score starts.
yes.
And then you see the face and the guy's panicking. And then he keeps looking up. But every time it flashes back to him, the score stops. And then it starts when it gets to force.
Right.
And these guys are chugging down this. And it's horrifying. That was my favorite shot scene of cinematography wise, when all the lights come down. And then the shot when the camera's below the bull, facing up out of the well, and you see all the lights around him.
Right,
It's
yes.
such a beautiful shot.
It is.
But the score.
Cinematography, the score is fantastic. It brought so much life to the movie. So much life. And what's astonishing about this film is it was made for 4 crore.
Yeah.
4 crore, which is, I think, is like $200,000 our money.
Well, that acapella score just adds to my theory and adds the element that they are just like in hell. Because when you imagine hell, you just imagine the fucking, I don't know, like demons singing acapella just like this. It feels very biblical, like you're in a church or something like
Right,
that,
yeah.
you know, because, you know, in Catholic church, they don't have fucking
No,
guitars and drums and
No.
shit. It's all acapella, baby. But yeah, man, it just added to that element of horror for me. Was that scary fucking, and again, it just felt like it was descent into chaos. And once
Descent
it ramps
into
up,
madness too with the people, and it was just such a slow. You know, as you said before, it's not a slow burn film because obviously it's only 90 minutes. But the descent to madness is slow, and you can slowly
Yeah.
start to see it
slow
within
and
the
quick.
whole village.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the peak is way up there, and it takes some time to get there. But man, the descent into madness that's one thing that's so scary about it, was it happened so quick. That bull was gone for 2 days, and then people are trucking in to hunt it, and you totally get the Jaws scene of, remember when they have all the hunters. Remember once the shark and all the hunters come in and they're all loading their guns and they're all drinking whiskey and shit. And
Yeah.
It's totally that scene where they come in and remember they're like, these are the ruckus boys or something, and they start fighting each other. That felt very Jaws to me, but yeah, like the descent into chaos, it just goes as far as that aspect, it goes quick with just the amount of people that come to hunt this fucking buffalo, just willing to prove themselves to, with them talking about how they're going to take the meat to their village and shit like that. And that fired people up. And we do get some slaps in this.
We do get a few slaps.
The scene
always good.
The scene right before they burn the police jeep, and that fucking sheriff comes in,
Smacks
slap,
a
slap,
few of 'em.
and he's drunk as hell. He's running around, and then they're like, well, why did we let him slap us? And we're like, we have way more. And then they burn his jeep, and
They
then
burned it,
after that,
yeah.
you don't see him again. He's just pissed.
They used fire really well in this too, especially with the cinematography. Every single time, and with the guy at the campfire as well, it just looked perfect.
Yeah. Well, they used it in like an archaic caveman way, you know, very.
which has ties to the very end of the film too, which makes even more sense.
Well, it has ties throughout the entire thing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, with
But
all
I
these
mean more
men,
specifically, I
essentially-
mean it literally shows cavemen at the end of the film.
Oh, yeah.
like as the last sequence.
But it's used in an element to, like, I think, for one, you know, they don't have a lot of lanterns and shit, I'm guessing, in this
they don't,
very
no.
small village. But it also immediately gives you the element of these men in today's times running through the forest with torches and spears. You know, it just felt very fucking
primal.
very primal. Yeah, absolutely. But and then some people like speaking on iPhones and shit, and then this entire village running into chaos because of this bull and just having no answer for it.
None.
They were hunting at some points, and at some points the bull was hunting them. They would run, and then they'd run back. There was no idea of how to catch the bull.
No.
It was just pretty much improv. Get down there, we'll figure it out. But the bull does end up getting stabbed.
It does many times. And that was also a really cool scene too, when the bull's walking out and it's got like knives. It's got
it's got all kinds of
butcher's
shit.
knives in it.
It's got maybe a fork in there or something. It's got anyone that they
everything.
could pick up in the forest and throw this. I know you. Well, the entire time though, you're rooting for the bull.
You are.
I mean, these people are horrible. There's no real redeeming quality of any of them.
No.
But and most of the time that does not work in a film, but it works here. And the story that it's telling, it works really, really well. That everyone, I mean, because again, it just shows you the entire town descend into chaos. But yeah, great bull acting.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta find the bull that did this job because
Seriously.
he did.
Gotta hire him in something else.
He did. I know we gotta get him on the podcast.
We do.
Because man, he did good. But let's talk about the ending scene.
Yes, the last sequence.
First, we have to talk about a man getting knocked in the well, like we said. You know that body for a body.
Yep.
Just like they predicted. You know, someone always falls in that, and who knows how old that fucking well is. That probably goes.
It didn't look clean. It
probably
didn't
goes
look like good water.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, and then it kind of climaxes in this fucking awesome forest scene, and then finally they catch the bull into this mud pit. But it just highlights that the movie was never about the bull.
No,
never at all. Because towards the end, the bull is sinking into the mud from this pile and pilement, and it is one of the most horrifying scenes I've seen in a film in a long time, with him just screaming
and trying to get up,
the scratches and him and the pile. I shit you not, it must be 10,000 men.
At least.
It grows.
It went probably 30,
I don't even know what they're.
up.
What are they getting? What are they hitting at that point? What are they trying to grab?
I think obviously it's just a metaphor.
Well, I mean it is, but I mean, and it really happens in the movie.
Well, yeah, I mean
it's but yeah, it's so well done. You would think it might be something that might be silly or something, but it works so well with like the final scenes of the bull just melting into the mud and them just killing each other.
Yeah.
And then we get black and then one more scene and it's the exact same thing happening, but
cavemen
20,000 years ago.
Yep.
And it's such a perfect ending to, I think, a pretty perfect film.
Yeah.
It's damn near.
From start to finish.
I'm putting it on a list. I'm going to watch it many more times. I'm going to tell other people to watch it. I'm going to recommend it.
Absolutely. And, I can't really say this just because I have not seen Goalie Boy yet, but I could not imagine Goalie Boy being better than this to go send to the Oscars.
No way. No way.
There's no way. This one should have gone.
I can't remember what year it was, and I don't know what other foreign films it was up against. I don't know what won that year, but I cannot imagine this losing for Best Foreign Film at the Oscars.
I know.
It's so good. And it's obviously because I've read a bunch of reviews from, Western magazines and media organizations. So, and everyone that's seen it, have I heard that's loved it.
Yeah. I know some people don't like Rotten Tomatoes, but that's the one that we use a lot here in the States. And for everyone who reviewed it, Westerners who reviewed it on Rotten Tomatoes had a very high praise for it.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I mean, this film, I'm going to watch it again in October. Because, again, I think it is an amazing horror film. And I think it should be labeled as that. Because it's horrifying.
And something they did so well, too, is just kind of the revolving door of characters.
Yes, yeah.
Like, just the whole time. Like, it was like, this character's in, and now this character's out, and now this character's in, and this character's out. And it's just like this constant moving, revolving door of characters.
And you never get too little or too much of a character.
Yes.
It's very, very snappy, because once this film starts going, it does not let off the gas until the credits roll.
Yep.
Till the very last scene, it does not. But yeah, it keeps those revolving door of characters going. And all the characters, again, they're all great.
They are.
Fun. Even the maybe the funniest part was when like the bull was going through the city, and the guy was like his cotton candy cart or whatever, and it was like a Western scene.
It was yes, absolutely, because everyone's like hiding.
Yeah, remember they're like shuddering up and stuff, and the guy, and it's like almost Western music, and the guy, they're like, get him out of here, and they just yell at him, get out, and he just takes off, but the bull ends up running. But the scene where that guy is in the other guy's shop and he starts talking about like the interest he owes him, like that's a good time. It's like, don't forget you owe me a lot of money.
By the way,
You want me to do it right now? Yeah.
Do you really want it right this second?
But yeah, and so there was some light parts, but overall, very dark.
Yeah,
just very dark subject matter of just a lot of dudes going nuts.
Yeah,
and there's better prizes out there.
There are.
Better
but I mean, hey, if you gotta eat, you gotta eat.
You gotta eat. And again, that was a big element. Was the whole town relied on this one guy
for all the meat.
For all the meat.
Yep.
But it all ended up coming to accumulating to a shitty knot. Just a bad knot. Remember the guy couldn't.
Yeah, he just didn't tie the knot right in the beginning, and that's how the bull got out.
Someone should fire that guy.
Yeah, someone there should be consequences for that.
The entire village might sue that man. Yeah. I hope. I mean, justice would have been served if he had been the one who fell in the well.
Yeah.
They should have somehow tied that in where
they probably should.
It shows him letting the bull and then him, because I mean he's the real agent of chaos.
Yeah. Absolutely, just not doing his job, just being lazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are consequences for that, folks.
Yeah, a fucking bull will burn down your city. But a great movie. I recommend it to everyone.
So do I.
Super awesome.
Absolutely.
Maybe my favorite yet.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe my favorite yet.
Okay.
It's up there with...
It is a close one with me, but I still got to go with Gangs of Wasseypor.
Gangs of Wasseypor. But two just vastly different films.
They're so different that you can't really compare the two.
But,
you really can't.
But yeah, what I've heard is Malayalam films are pretty legit.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. They take it pretty serious over there. And this one, crazy enough, hour and a half long, still had a break in the middle. An
interval. Yeah.
Well, you're sitting down for half an hour, and now you expect to get up. Now you got to mingle with people.
Hey, man, those movie theaters still got to make money on the
barely
concession.
got enough of the movie to really register what's happening. Now we got to take a 15-minute break. But I get it. I get it that it is a much more social experience in India.
Yep.
All right. That's Jallikattu.
That's Jallikattu. That's our review for it. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications as we drop videos here every single day. If you're listening on podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher, social media, Seen It Podcast on Twitter, Seen It Podcast, SCENEIT Podcast. Instagram, Have You Seen It? Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus, and until next time.
Bye.